Today is Monday, March 15th, 2021. My name is Tajmari Pickersgill. I'm 45 years old. I was born in Brooklyn. I lived in Queens. I've lived in California. I've lived in South Carolina. I just recently returned to New York after coming down from South Carolina. I had
Before all that, this boy Taco James is the
I'm sorry.
cameraman.
I'm sorry. How could I forget?
Nah, proceed.
How could I forget about my brother, Mr. Taco James, aka Hitman for Hire? So retire while you can. So I was recently in Spartanburg, South Carolina, which is like a part of upstate South Carolina. And initially why I left New York was my mother had came up here and she had a friend, her name was Amelia Graham, and she had fell sick and she came up and asked me if I would accompany her down south to take care of this woman, which I did. And she passed away eventually, so I moved on and I went because the town we were in was, Miss Graham was from Beaufort. That's where my mother lives as well. And that's further downstate and it's a small town, so it's really no employment there. So I didn't think I wanted to come back up here to New York per se. So I went online and I looked up like what prosperous areas were in South Carolina, and I found Greenville, which is upstate, and then Spartanburg. Spartanburg is nicknamed Sparkle City, right? But its real name is Hub City. And the hub is like the center of everything. You know, that's what a hub means. And that's what Spartanburg is. If you look at Spartanburg on the map, especially from an aerial view, what you'll see is that it's in the middle of everywhere, and every Spartanburg has any train, any bus, any major highway you can access in the United States, which a lot of people don't know. So as I was down there, you know, I went up there. I didn't have any family up there. So, you know, I was on my own and I had to start from scratch after leaving, you know, from taking care of my mother. And, you know, I was working. I had got a job working at this place called Syncreon, which is a division of BMW, and they do is they ship BMW parts overseas, just strictly overseas, not in the United States. And I was working there. I got another job working for Adidas overnight, and everything was good. And then this COVID hit, and I fell on hard times, and I became homeless, okay? And I was homeless in the streets of South Carolina. And what I noticed about Spartanburg was that, for one thing, it was weird as I would walk around the town, okay? It wasn't like a normal town, and I'm like, okay, and I'm from New York where, you know, weird is the norm. But this was a little different. This was like the buildings and stuff, especially downtown, like they would be blacked out. Like you figure somebody has a clothing store or whatnot, and you know, they want to advertise their clothes, you should be able to walk past and do a little window shopping. And it wasn't like that. This place wasn't like that. This place was very weird. And as I would walk, you know, they had a soup kitchen, I remember, and they did have a mission, which was like another word for a shelter. It's called Miracle Hill Rescue Mission. And it's through the church and everything like that. And, you know, it appears to be so innocent, but I can assure you it isn't. So I was in the street. Somebody told me about going to the mission, which I did, and they accepted me with open arms. So I was in there. I was working, but like I said, I was thrown out because I was working in the kitchen. They gave me kitchen detail because everybody who goes to this mission has to have a detail as far as whether you're going to clean up, whether you're going to be in the kitchen, or what have you. My detail was the kitchen, and we would cook and what have you. And one time, you know, because we get a lot of donations, like a lot of Intamins, like treats and stuff, and I had ate a cookie, and what they said was I had stole it, and they kicked me out. So, you know, rules are rules, whatever. So now I'm in the streets of Spartanburg, and what I did was I went to this park that they had because I really didn't know the town. And the reason why I went to this park is because they had like the plug where I could charge my phone. And I was charging my phone and I was just feeling, desolate. I just felt like, you know, I didn't know what I was going to do. And this guy came up on me. His name was Jimmy, a white guy. Not that it matters, but just to kind of give you a visual. And, you know, he was like, I'm going to show you like where you can eat and stuff like that. And, you know, I thought that he had befriended me, but what the truth of the matter was, he didn't. He had ulterior motives. And what they were as I came to realize was that these people were watching me. Like, for whatever reason, I couldn't understand why. I had my phone was always on because, I made sure that the bill was paid up. That's the only way I can talk to my son, even though being in the street, you know what I mean? That's the one good thing that I had going. My son, his name is Nicholas. He's 16. So anyway, so me and Jimmy, and I noticed he would never leave my side, even when it was time to go to sleep. So it would be me, him, and there was these two other guys. This older guy, a black gentleman. I can't even remember his name. And then there was this other guy, Mike. Mike was all right. Mike was older too. They used to. Everybody had a hustle. They would go and he used to steal out of Walmart and what have you. And then he had got locked up. So anyway, as the time progressed, they kind of broke up the crew because when you're homeless, people tend to stay in crowds just for safety reasons. You know what I mean? Jimmy was a bit older, and he would be drinking and stuff like that. And I told him, I said, you're old and you're out here, maybe you should go to the mission, which is what he did. As I would walk, I've always been a loner, so I would walk around the town just so I could know my surroundings. And the more I walked, the more I noticed that I was being followed. And I couldn't understand it. I didn't know what it was. And before I say that, I'm gonna say this. And in my life, the people who know me, I've used drugs, I've drank and things like that. And I say that to say this because that's what people are going to try to say, that, oh, well, he's a drug addict and this and that, and he's bugging and these things, he imagined these things, and I did, and that's what they're banking on. So anyway, through the period of the time that I was down there, I would say I was down there in Spartanburg roughly about 3 years, and I was on the streets for about almost a year, you know what I'm saying? So anyway, so Jimmy took me in these places that would feed. Every day they had a different place that would feed, and it would all be throughout the churches because I don't know if you know or not, the South, especially South Carolina, they consider that to be the Bible Belt, okay? So these people would come, a different church would come on Monday and feed us, Tuesday, Wednesday, like that. You just had to know where to be to get the food. Mind you, every day the soup kitchen that was there would open up at 11:30 and they would give you that one meal, but they only gave one meal a day, from 11:30, you know what I'm saying, till 12:30. They did it for an hour. So anyway, everybody who's on the street, which there's a lot of people homeless in Spartanburg, which I thought was kind of weird too, because this is a small town, being from New York, I've seen homelessness all the time. And this is another thing. These people catered to the homeless a little bit too much. That was weird. And I said, okay, well, maybe I'm in the South, Southern hospitality. It was a little bit bigger than that. So anyway, they had this place called, oh gosh, it was like a recreational center. And what they did was they would let people come. They would come in, but they was only open in the beginning on Wednesdays and Fridays. You could go and they would wash your clothes for you. They would feed you. You could take a shower. It was too good to be true, and you could stay there. They opened up at 8:30, and you could stay there until 11:30, that way you could catch the soup kitchen. And it was all right in the same vicinity. I would say this center was probably not even a half a mile away from the soup kitchen, and this is all in the vicinity of downtown Spartanburg. Good. So Jimmy was the one, he showed me about the center, and they would keep your clothes. You're homeless, you got your clothes. They keep them for you. Like I said, they would wash them, they would be clean. When you would come back, you could change clothes, get something to eat, shave, they had toiletries, things like that. But these people were government people, okay? And I realized that as I went along. So now the thing is this, what are these people doing? What are they doing? Are they monitoring the homeless because of what? While all this is going on, the COVID hit, George Floyd had been killed, rest in peace, George Floyd. Sorry about that. My heart goes out to your family, genuinely. And black people were running amok, and it's because of, and I have to say this, black people are tired of white people killing us innocently. And as you guys know, it was really going down, and I didn't know that. And what the government did was, when you're in the street, my only means of what have you, to keep in touch with the world was my phone. You understand? And this is what these people did. One night I was walking, I was going to the store, and this dude came up on me out of the blue. His name was William Boyd. I'll never forget him. And he was like how he had got out of jail and he needed to use my phone because he wanted to reach his family. So I tried to do the right thing. And not to mention, but see, he didn't ask me he didn't ask me to use the phone until his initial thing was he was, because he had looked young, but he wasn't young. His initial thing was he didn't have an ID and he wanted a black and mild. And I was going to the store, it was all the setup. So we go to the store, I get the black and mild for him because I got the ID. Then he asked me about the phone thing. He built up my little trust. And I'm a good guy anyway, so. Anyway. So I let him use my phone, and what he does is he contacts whoever he contacts through Messenger, okay? And he went on his Messenger, but it's on my phone, so it's like he has to use his password. Fast forward, he finishes, gives me the phone back, and I'm still getting his notifications, and I couldn't get it off because you know why? Because I didn't know his password. So like this is a stranger who comes up on me, so I'm like, I don't know if I'm gonna see this guy again. Like, how am I gonna get these notifications off? So, and it wasn't accidental. I saw him 2 days later, and like I was a little upset, and I made him take it off. That's how he infiltrated and got into my phone. And this guy, I wouldn't say that he was a government guy, but I would say that he was associated with the government. Like whatever happened. Like he made a deal, whatever. And I'm gonna get to that in a minute so you all can understand. So being in the street, like it was cold. I went through the cold, but it wasn't cold like how it is up here in New York. But like, and these people too, like at this center, they would give clothes, but these people were weird. And this is what they were, the Homeless Coalition, they called themselves. This is the name. This is what they were really doing. And I know that this is gonna sound weird and this is gonna sound whatever, but like, I do believe like a lot of people were disappearing. You know what I mean? Especially females. And to go like with this human trafficking thing, and I'm gonna get more into that in a minute. I just want to finish up so you guys can make sense of this whole thing. So anyway, so now my phone is tapped, and this is how I know, because I'm messing with the phone. So this is what I gathered. Like I did the knowledge. I said, okay, black people are running around, they snatching white people out the cars, and white people were afraid. They were, for the first time. And I'm a big black man, and I guess I'm not from there. They didn't know what I was gonna do because that's how they were watching me. They were very afraid. And it's something when people are afraid of you, and this isn't just the town, even though it was, but this is the government too, because who could tap your phone like that? And I'm gonna show you more in a minute. So, the COVID hit, so everything is shut down. So I sought refuge in this college is called Woodford. And nobody was on the campus, and they had like this, it was like a shed, and it was open. And what they kept in the shed was like signs and things like for parking, like these were old signs, like because I believe like they would hold events, you know what I'm saying? And like, people would come park the car and they would charge $5, $10 for parking depending on what kind of event it was. And so these were like the old signs in there. So I made a little place there. At nighttime, that's when the fun would begin. I would come to this place and these people would be following me, and these were people of the town. The sheriff, his name is Chuck Wright. You can look him up, you can Google him. He has videos on YouTube as well. And he let this thing go down, okay? And this is what these people did to me. These people harassed me, not directly, but indirectly, like in the shed. And this is how these people were trained. Where I was, like this shed was off into the corner of this big parking lot, and they had a tree back behind it. And I know like people would scale down that tree, right? And they would be on the roof and they would be bothering me, like not saying anything, but trying to scare me. And even got to the point, but see, like as time went on, I built, because I was afraid, I was outnumbered. I didn't know if it was because I was black or what, you know what I mean? But I knew that I was innocent. My only crime was that I had fallen on hard times and I became homeless. And so what I thought it was because George Floyd and this thing was going on, I thought a race war was brewing. But this is what was really, these were people of the government, and what they were trying to do was this. They were trying to perpetuate these kind of things. If you look around wherever you're from, wherever you live, and see, like you wouldn't know unless, like you gotta take a walk down the street, you know what I mean? And see how things are different. Like it's people walking around in your neighborhoods as well as ours, and these people are undercover. And like, I guess they're waiting for it, whatever to pop off. I know you could see like things are different. I know you could feel like things are different. These people with these backpacks, everybody got a backpack on now. It's weird, but it's not by accident. You understand? I know you know that we've gone through a change with the earth and everything like that, and with an awakening. You know what I mean? I didn't understand that when I was down there, you know? So now, okay, these people were about, so now in the daytime, people would be coming up on me, and these people were homeless people, but they weren't. They were undercover. This older guy, his name was Philip Bishop. Then there was a younger guy named Philip as well. But these guys were military. I could tell how they moved. You understand what I'm saying? And what they were doing was they were doing recon, and they were staying close to me, whatever, to see. And this was like a psychological thing. It was another fella. His name was Wolf. I didn't really want to put his name out there. But subliminally, Wolf really told me like what was going on and how it's going to be in like the near future. You know, like with this COVID and stuff like this, and another wave of the COVID is going to hit. Trust me, I know. And it's going to be the worst one ever, so according to them. And they're going to shut down everything. You understand? And that's why they're trying to do with this vaccine, with the mark of the beast, because that's what it is. It's the mark of the beast. And they're going to make it to where your job, you're not going to be able to go anywhere without having this vaccine. As you could see, let's think about the COVID for a minute. Look how it has everybody frantic and hysteria, and everybody's wearing a mask. And what that does is that creates an air of distrust and fear. And this is why, because as we know, Uncle you-know-who has done for too much to this land, because like you said, this land is your land, this land is my land, and it's the truth. And they have destroyed it. And God is very upset about it, you know, and I know this because I could feel it. You know, I didn't know what was going to happen to me down there. You know, I went through so much. One day I decided, because I got to say all this, you know, but the rewind just for a minute, just so you guys can understand, because the government is very, very slick in how they do things. So I told you about this center where we would go, they would wash our clothes, but they would wash our clothes for a reason, because they were planting stuff in our clothes, and they're called wearables. They can put it in a watch, they can put it in a tag of your clothes. I'm telling you people, this thing is real. And this is how I know, because with my phone being tapped, if you think about the kind of phones we have nowadays, we have smartphones. It's not like back in the days when you had a rotary phone and all you could do was hear. You see, when you got a smartphone, there's so many things on it. So like, it's like you'd be surprised. You try it with your phone, double tap it or triple tap it or swipe your hand over it. You can even set your phone for these settings. And this is what they were doing, you know. They made it where I couldn't listen to certain things because they were like trying to control my mood. You understand what I'm saying? I guess. I'm just guessing. And one night what happened was I got afraid. I was in this train station down there, and it was nighttime. It was, you know, it was the Amtrak station, and it was the waiting room. And these people came in there, and like they were just acting real suspicious. You know what I'm saying? And they said that they were volunteers, but I knew that they weren't. They were government. I could just tell. I thought they were police, but they weren't. They were a little bit on a higher scale than that. And the way I knew too is because, remember I told you my phone was tapped, and then this guy, he started talking about certain songs I listened to. You know what I mean? And it was to win my trust, to win, like, do you understand? So we can have a good, but see, it was because he knew that, because that's what he was looking at, like, you know, on my phone. You know what I'm saying? Like, I guess when they were looking at whatever. I knew that they wasn't going to come off the phone. I knew, like, 'cause I tried so many things. They were using this thing called the Wizard. And the Wizard is such an ill program or whatever. It's an app. And what it does is it learns your patterns. It learns your patterns on your phone. You figure, like, we wake up, what do we do on our phone? Like, we make a call. We do more things on our phone than make a call, though. Like, as far as, that's the least thing that I think most people do on their phone is call. We look up things. We're constantly on the internet. We're constantly listening to music. You know what I'm saying? And when I would go to like look at certain things, like, you know, I felt a little resistance, and that's how I knew. And I was like, yo, somebody's on my phone. And I knew, like, I didn't have the know-how to get them off. So what I did was I typed to them, and I typed right into the search bar, and I said, you know, what do you want? What is this? Nobody would talk. Of course, they wouldn't respond. So this is what I said, because my son's phone is attached to mine. And I said, you know, please don't bother my son. You know what I mean? And I remember I would be calling them and I couldn't get through to them, which was weird. And it was because they were controlling it. They didn't want me to call them. And I know you would say, well, why would they do that? Why wouldn't they want you to contact your son? Because these people are evil. That's why. Because the next thing that happened was this. One night, my son did call me while I was in the shed, you know, and I hadn't talked to him in a while, and I was so happy he called. And I was like, yo, you know, and I wanted to let him know the reason why he hadn't spoke to me was because I had attempted to make several calls to his phone, and for some reason it wouldn't go. And then he told me, he said, you know, Dad, he was 15. He wasn't even 16 yet. He hadn't turned 16 yet. He was like, how somebody sent him a screenshot of him and his friend's conversation, who was 15 as well, right? And then sent him a picture of his mother's house, where she goes to Dunkin' Donuts in the morning to have breakfast, and then threatened him and called him a nigger monkey and told him that he had 24 hours to live. After that day, that same night, somebody climbed through his friend's window and stabbed him. The boy didn't die. This is a kid. You know what I mean? So now, like when he told me that, you know, I lost it. I came outside, I went in town, nobody was out, you know what I mean? And I walked up and down because I wanted blood, you know, and I think anybody would have, because why say something like that? Why do something like that? It was secluded where I was. If anything, come and bother me, you know what I mean? So time progressed on, more and more, like people that come around with me. It was definitely other people. It was this Russian dude named Mike, and like this other guy named Nick, and this guy named Brian, who, these guys were all naval SEALs or naval intelligence or some sort of naval thing. They had women and stuff too that would come and walk, and like they would be trying to like get me or whatever, just to throw me off to, like, I guess, I don't know what they were trying to do, but like as I started to make sense of things, right? So then they had the little march with George Floyd, and I remember that they had people were marching for days in downtown, and the police were all there, and like every time people would always come up, different people would come up to me, and this is what they would say: "Oh, you're not gonna march? You're not gonna march?" And I'm like, for what? You know, these people are the perpetuators of racism and separation, and I know, like, we think like, oh, all white people are evil or all black people are evil, but I'm gonna say this to you. You know, that's not the case, and that's what these people were trying to do to me. This is why they were reared to bother me, to change my way and my perception of things, to make me feel like, gosh, this is really how it is. This is another thing, because before we even get into it, these people even used holograms and everything. Yes, they did, because I saw a hologram of the Ku Klux Klan, which scared me, and it was meant for me to see it. Nobody else was around. It was meant for me to see it that night. I'm going to tell you how in a minute, but I'm going to tell you the other hologram that I saw. And I mean, let me tell you something. If you don't have your head on strapped tight, like, that thing would really, like, scare you. Like, you know, I told you about this guy, Wolf. So one night, Wolf came to where I slept, because, you know, because me and Wolf would chill, but I knew that he was on stage, you know what I mean? So then I had to say to him, and I had to say to everybody who I call them my handlers, because that's what they were. And I had to say to them, like, you know, we're here and we're shooting the shit, but don't think that Taj don't know what's going on, because don't think you're taking me for a walk. I'm just walking because I know what time it is, you know what I'm saying? Whatever it was, I knew that they were, whatever they were doing, they had ulterior motives. So one night Wolf came, it was like 2 a.m, but before he came, I'm gonna tell you, it was a Saturday night, I remember. And he came, but before that, I had went to my little spot early, you know, and I was getting high and stuff on crystal meth. Because I got to be all the way honest. I was sniffing it. So with crystal meth, like, it opens up your eyes, because I have to tell the whole truth, you know what I mean? With crystal meth, like, it opens up your eyes, you know what I mean? Like, it lets a little bit more light into your eyes than usual. So you start to see more things, and people, oh gosh, if I tell you some of the things that I saw, like, you would never believe it, and you would think that I'm crazy. First of all, in South Carolina, where this store was called the Quick Trip, they had 2 of them, but they had this one was like the main one where the richer folks would go to, and across from that, they had this place that kind of looked like, I would say, like, you know, like that building that has all the flags, like the United Nations, right? And this building had flags, and it was right on the corner. But when I was high, you know what I would see above those flags? I would see the big alien head. And I'm gonna tell you something. It wasn't that I was tripping or that I was high, because even when I'm high, I'm still there. You understand what I'm saying? I wasn't bugging, and they knew that too. They knew that. So what they would do is, this is what they would do, where I would go and buy from, and different people would come up on me and give me other stuff, which wasn't as potent as the things, because they know I could see certain things. You understand? And I believe it has to do with my chemistry as a black man, you know what I mean, and stuff like that. Anyway, so Wolf comes, right? So but like I keep on forgetting. Before that, this is what happened. I'm in the shed, and it's like about 10 o'clock at night, right? And I hear a bunch of gunshots, and I'm gonna tell you something. This goes on for about 15 minutes, literally, no exaggeration. And it was all different kind of guns. It was a pump gun, all kinds of guns. It was a rat-a-tat-tat gun and everything, right? So now I'm saying to myself, so the police should be along any second. No police came, because I'm gonna tell you why. I'm gonna tell you something in a minute. Oh my gosh, you people are gonna fall out. Where I was, right? That little parking lot, it was a parking lot, it was the shed, it was the college. Right next to it, they had like the railroad tracks, right? And behind that railroad tracks, they had this go-kart place, okay? And this is what they would do. They had like a bullhorn on the outside, because I would see it in the daytime. And it was sound effects. It was all propaganda bullshit. They had somebody have a speaker in there and let gunshots off to make me feel like it was a war going on, like a race war, right? So then here comes Wolf, knocking at my shed door. Right after the gunshots end, it was so convenient. So I'm like, what's up? So he wanted to see if I was scared, you see? So he's like, you all right? So I said, I'm fine. So I come out with them, and we go walking or whatever. It's 2 a.m, and we were gonna go across town. He was like, yo, I need you to come help me do something. But that's not what it was. What he wanted me to do was, he wanted me to come out so that the other people could see. So, because it was the air of scariness. Because then this other girl comes out, right? This white girl. They're all white, and that's okay. And she was this, because this is what Wolf told me. She was a UFC champion. And he puts this in my head to say this, to let me know, like, if I go to report back to black people about our uprising or whatever they think that we're gonna do, like, oh, we got people trained. You understand what I'm saying? I'm telling you, that's what it was. It's all psychological shit. But more importantly, it's all to create the image of white people hate black people and this and that. And this, you know why? You know what's to do? Is to keep us at each other's throats. That way those ones that sit in the chair can sneak out that back door like they have been doing for so long. Meanwhile, because white people, I know your asses are getting skinned just like black people. Chinese people too. Anybody who comes to America, right? Shit. Anybody who comes to America, they get their ass skinned. Gotta pay taxes and this and that. And that's cool. But then it's like, look how they do our food and poison us because they want to kill us. And that's all that we are to them is cattle.
To lower our vibration.
To lower our vibration so we can't rise above and be who we are supposed to be. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
They don't want us to live in harmony. That's why they have people, they have these actors, they have these people to perpetuate these wars to keep us, that way the people don't get together. So now with that being said, let's think about the COVID for a minute. Everybody wearing a mask. You think it's for safety reasons? Everybody wearing a mask so you can't recognize each other with this social distancing. That way we won't get together and talk and be like, yo, let's go ahead and skin their ass for once. That's what it is. They do not want us to come together. And I don't just mean black people, I mean black, white, and everything, because we the people, like they have written in that stupid paper they got, and we have the power. And it's the truth, and they know it. You know, they put up in the air on the news about all these people dying from the COVID. It's all bullshit. It's all bullshit. And like, so what you say, when you look outside, you don't see anybody? You know why you don't see anybody? Because they told everybody to be in the house. That's why. That's why. So when you come outside, everybody in the house, because everybody ain't going to the store at the same time like how they used to, because they done created this scare and caused mass hysteria. 6 feet apart. You can't go sit down and eat. You know why you can't go sit down? Because what do you do when you sit down and eat? You talk. When you're in the doctor's office in the waiting room waiting to see your doctor, what do? You talk, right? Yeah. We can't meet up in the park. We can't meet up over here. Oh, it's dangerous. So, but look what it's created. Now look, when you go to the store and look when you're around somebody who doesn't have a mask, look how you treat them. Oh, I gotta stay away from them. What about your old friend from high school? They might be standing right next to you and you don't even recognize them. You know why? Because you're too busy trick-or-treating with that damn mask on. Yo, these people have tried. They've been killing humanity, and that's what they're trying to do. And it's like enough is enough. We have to come together. And we have to come together soon, everybody. If you with the Ku Klux Klan, take that shit off just for a minute so your ass can stop getting skinned just like my black ass. Because I know you're tired of that. You know what I mean? Because we're not your enemies. You know, I don't hate anybody. But I'm going to tell you something. When I was down there and the way they wound me up and spun me around psychologically, it kind of made me almost gear to that. And they almost won. But God let me know, like, that's not it. That's not it. That's just, you know what I mean? So anyway, just to say that, but yeah, you know, so Wolf takes me, so we're walking across the thing, and I had some weed, I remember, but I was high, and he made sure we stopped at this certain place. That's another thing. It's a lot of abandoned things down in Spartanburg, which is weird because, like I said, I'm from New York, and when something is abandoned, it's rats and everything. You go into these abandoned things, it's all clean, the floor is swept up and everything, because these are government hubs for whatever they're doing, and that's including making people disappear. Do you hear what I'm telling you? You know, I was scared to do this for a long time, but I'm not anymore because I don't even care. Whatever's gonna be is gonna be. You know, those people really did for too much. And like, to call my son that and to have his friend stabbed, like, for what reason? Anyway, so now me and Wolf, we go, so now we stand there. So it's me, him, and the UFC champion, right? So as we're going, let me tell you what this girl is saying. This girl don't even know me. This is the first time she's met me. But I could tell she's under duress a little bit. You understand? So she's like, oh, and so this is what she told me. She said when she was a little girl, she had went and she was like ran away from home and she was looking for help and the police pulled up. And she said it was the police themselves who took her, sold her off to somebody else, to whoever, and she has been a sex slave ever since. Let me tell you something. That girl was so passionate in the way she talked. I know that she was, and see, then she had made whatever deal with the government, I guess, to do whatever. See, that's the one thing I don't know. But I do know the way she was talking was sort of the lines of, like, she regretted that she did that, because it's like, and she was talking about the government. She was like, look at these people. She's like, you talking about somebody who would try to kill you, she said. And I felt her. She's like, you know, I could tell like she regretted making that deal. I kind of think that she probably didn't have a choice, because I believe like the children were involved. You know what I'm saying? And so then she was like, how they had locked her in a dog kennel. Could you imagine? So anyway, so we're there. So Wolf is like, yeah, pull the weed out. So now watch this. We're all sitting three, you know, three's a crowd. We're all sitting close together normally, like how normal people talk. So then this guy, Wolf, as we're talking, he steps off to the side over here, right? So then he stands in one place. Then he comes and moves into another place. And it was weird. I didn't know what he was doing. And then all of a sudden I saw it. All of a sudden appeared around us, I'm telling you, okay? Was all people, like, and these people had on all black and they had on blue masks, like royal blue masks, like a ski mask. And this is what Wolf said, because the conversation was after that girl had said what she said. And I said to Wolf, because Wolf is ex-military, and I said, why would you work for a government who you in a special unit and they send you off to do their bidding and you get captured or whatever, and these people won't even come get you? You know what I'm saying? So as I said that, and he was just like, oh, well, because he got scared a little bit, because he figured I was ganged up, and because he was like, well, we got the biggest gang ever. And that's when I saw it. And let me tell you something. I almost shit out a turd. But I had to have my poker face on and look him right in his eye like I ain't even see it, but I did see it. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, damn. But it was an illusion. All it was to make you think that they got these numbers like this. Do you understand? Because they know the time is coming to it. And like, you see, this is the thing. We make up everything. We make up the army. We make up everything. So they really don't, because people all are going to start to come to their senses and be like, you know, enough is enough. People are already coming to them senses. And I don't just mean black people. I don't just mean white people. You know, I don't hate anybody. I don't hate white people. You know, all white people don't hate black people. Everybody from Texas doesn't wear cowboy boots. So now I see this hologram. That was the first time. And like I told you what that was. So now fast forward later, as time progresses, more and more people, I see more things started changing. The more I started walking around, the more people started following me. My family used to send me money. You know what I mean? They blocked me from Western Union, all kinds of things, for no reason. They got a Marriott that was there, and it wasn't too far from where. So at nighttime, sometimes, because sometimes I got tired of being in the shed and being bothered, because every night I would be bothered every night. And so I said, you know what, I'm gonna go to the staircase. They had a back staircase in the Marriott. So I went there, and this is what happened. The way the Marriott was, it's two ways to get to that back staircase. It's the top way, if I go from the outside and go upstairs, once the lights is off late, you can go into the top part, by the roof, or you can come in through the bottom, where they got the veranda and everything. So I was in there. So this is what happened. The security guard, she opens up the door at the bottom, right? So I hear it open and close. By this time, I'm already kind of scared and nervous about all the other things that have been going on in this town, right? So I come out. So when I come out on the veranda, there I see it. It was 3 Ku Klux Klan. One had on the red, he's the Grand Wizard, and there was 2 others standing, and they had their arms like this. And at that moment when I came out, because there's the air of scariness, I came out, I saw them, and then I heard the church bell, dun, dun. So now I'm gonna tell you people, I ran, I was afraid, I was. And I came around, because I was at the back part of the Marriott, and I came around and I ran out to the front. Now I'm on the street. It wasn't nobody on the street. These people had cleared the streets off. Spartanburg just isn't an all-white town. So this is what that tells me this. That means that black people participated in this too. You know what I mean? And everybody is going to get their cake.
Coons.
You don't even understand.
Damn coons.
I mean, I couldn't believe it. I mean, I was scared for my life. And I'm going to tell you something. As I ran, and then something stopped me, and God was like, stop. And I turned around, and I had to go back and face it. Nobody was on the street. And then they had these people riding. They had this one dude, he was riding, and he had the mean look, riding, trying to intimidate me, we're gonna snatch you up. So what I did was, because I was scared, I didn't know where to go. I went to where it's lights, you know what I mean? So I went to this store. It's called the Hot Spot. So watch this. So I'm in the Hot Spot. These are black people too. This dread dude and this girl, but she was half black, half Chinese. She worked behind the counter. She's a pretty girl too. Hey girl. Yeah, I'm still a man. Anyway, you see, you're gonna get me laughing. I'm trying to be serious here. You see?
Okay.
My brother. Anyway, so I'm outside. So this is what happens. This guy, he was the guy with the black dude. He had just so then this white dude comes in, and I remember this white dude. He was from Florida, so he said, and he had one of those mustaches that roll up like this. So he was like, he was saying something, but it was just weird how the scene was, and it's so then finally the dread was the dread was a manager of the store, Hotspot. Hotspot is also a check-in place for these government people, okay? Because I remember I seen them checking in or whatever. Anyway, so they made it seem like they was gonna make me disappear, and including this girl. Now, I'm from Jamaica, Queens, right? So this girl, now she's in Spartanburg, South Carolina. This is what she says. She's like, oh yeah, I'll be around Guy Brewer and stuff. This is where Guy Brewer is over here. She said that to say to me oh, well, in case you get out of line and want to tell something, because this is what I didn't tell you. And I was going to leave it out, but I'm not. I am going to say, I have to say everything. So now remember I told you about the wearables. And so one day, it was a hot day, I remember. I had decided I had enough of this town. So I said, you know what, I'm gonna leave. I left my phone and everything, and I just left, and I started walking. And as I did, because I knew that they were tracking me, because they were still following me, and it was the wearables. So people, what I did was, as I tell you, no lie, I took my clothes. I had on some ill camouflage pants I had, but I paid a nice little bit of money for those pants, and I left them. I had on some Adidas. I was looking like Run DMC, because I had took the shoestrings out of them, because I believed that they all had this tracking thing. They were all wearables, and that's why they would wash our clothes. So now I take off the clothes. So now I'm walking down the highway in broad daylight. The sun is shining bright, and I'm in my underwear. Good thing I had on clean underwear. So anyway, but I knew why I did it though. Nobody bothered me, and I'm gonna tell you why. Because they knew too why I did it. You know what I'm saying? So finally, I come up to this place. So it was this big truck, This guy was looking at me, and he's like, I could tell. He's like, "You all right?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it's just hot, But as I was walking, I was afraid to go in the woods because I was like right there on the corner of the woods, and I didn't want to do that because I knew that if I went in the woods, like the way these people were passing me by, it's like they were gonna make me disappear for whatever reason. So watch God. I go in the woods, and what do I see? Some like holes, because that's how I can explain. It was like holes that were dug, right? And they had hoses running into these hoses, into this floor, into the ground, and it was just weird. You know what I'm saying? And at first I was just thinking, so I walked around, and I was thinking to myself, I was like, because watching these movies and things, I was thinking, wow, that these holes and things were like men or whatever in the ground, and they were going to jump up and ramble me. That's what I was thinking. But then I'm like, why are these hoses running and things? So initially, this is what I thought. I thought this was them putting the COVID in the air. But I'm going to tell you something. They did do that too. And I'll tell you later how I know that. Remember I told you about my phone and how they tapped it? Your phone is so ill. It's so hard to explain, but I'm just going to tell you, like, I did something with my phone and I crossed over more than one time to see, like, the things that they were watching. And I was like, wow. And that's because you shouldn't have tapped my smartphone. And God allowed me to do it because I'm no big time hacker. And what I saw was, like, if you look at your phone and it says device maintenance, like, you ever seen that where it says device maintenance on your phone and it has like the bar? It has the bar, like it shows like a battery, and it shows like the battery optimization. When I crossed over, you know what it said? It was showing the air quality. And that's what it said. It said air quality. Like that. Like they mashed it into that. Do you understand what I'm saying? To let us know the quality of the air. To tell them how much more COVID to put in the air. I tell you, as God knows, I'm no crazy man. People who know me know I ain't crazy. I've done some crazy things though. I've done some crazy things, but I'm no crazy man. And these things happen. So anyway, okay, because I don't want to get off track here.
You gotta get back to the girl.
Yeah, what was I saying? The girl, what did I say? Okay, wait a minute. So I was saying about Wolf, right? And then we saw that. Then it came, oh yeah, the people in the store. So that's why. But I gotta finish telling. So now, so I came out the woods after I see these hoses and things. I want you to remember I'm in my underwear. Good, because that's the main thing about this. So now the police comes up, but I'm gonna tell you something. This ain't no ordinary police. Somebody had done called them probably. This is a government police. And what he did was he got out and he said the same thing. He looked at me, he was like, you all right? And I'm like, yeah, I'm all right. I'm like, it's just hot. But see, I knew like this was the moment of truth here. So he's like, well, I'm gonna take you to the hospital. So just to make sure that you're not mental. So this is what he did. He cuffed me. So I said, what are you doing? Why are you cuffing me? I said, I didn't break the law. So he's like, no, this is for your safety. So he puts me in the back of this police car. And this police car, you know how when you're in the back of a police car, and like even if you're cuffed, like you could slide over to the other side. This police car wasn't like that. In the back, it had like this, it was like this glass thing, but it was really like plexiglass, like a part, like almost like a partition. And what it did was it separated my side from somebody else, and it had holes in it. And this guy had a bulletproof vest, and it was over whatever was letting out some gas to gas me out as he's driving me to wherever, right? True story. So we're riding. So now I'm scared. So now I said, because I had to man up though, and I had to say to him, I said, what are you doing? You know what I mean? I said, what are you going to do? You're going to kill me out here? And he wouldn't talk. He just was looking at me in the rear view. And I'm telling you, as God knows, and I was high and everything, and I was twinkle-toeing, I was gas. So we get to this place. It's not even the hospital. It's like a little bunker or whatever. So I go in there, and they put me in this room, and I wouldn't let them close the door. I was afraid. So I put the garbage can and I wedged it between the door. It was one of those doors that you open and it closes. So in the plug, they had like, how those Glad plugins? There was a gas plug-in, more gas. So I immediately unplugged it. And this is how you know it was gas, because nobody came and said to me, oh, why you unplug that? What are you doing? You understand what I'm saying? Yeah, they let me be. Ain't nobody try to close that door either. So I'm sitting in my boxes. So here comes the doctor, right? You ever been to the hospital? You ever been to the doctor? Don't the first thing they do when you go there is take your blood pressure and stuff? They did no such thing. The lady wouldn't even come up on me. She came in, she leaned on the wall. What do you think the first question she asked me? She said, what'd you see in the woods? So then she said, why'd you go in the woods? So, and I'm ready to like, because I'm so fucking smart.
That's what doctors ask.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, so I had to be smart though. You know what I mean? Because I really wanted to say, oh yeah, I saw your dirty laundry in there. That's what I saw, but I didn't say that because I know I wouldn't have made it out there. I can truly tell you that she was like, because she was like, I gotta evaluate whether, you know, your mind state is whatever. But she immediately knew from when we started talking. She knew that I'm an educated dude. She was like, I can tell you're smart. I said, yeah. So then she goes and huddles up with the others. I'm gonna tell you, when they huddled up, they had a conversation about my life. I'm telling you. Like, I don't think that he knows whatever that was. But see, I've come to find out later what that was. And we're gonna get to that too. So anyway, they let me go. So now, of course, I'm in my underwear, remember? And I'm looking so sexy, by the way. So they go and get me some clothes, more wearables. You understand what I'm saying? Trust me, because she had these pants. These pants were just so weird. And then the shirt was a little thick right here on the collar. But anyway, I put it on, you know. So first thing we're going to do is, because this town was Union, I believe. It was Union, South Carolina. And, you know, I said, well, why don't you let me go back to Spartanburg? Since that cop brought me over there, he should. So they called another cop to come, another government guy. And guess what air freshener we were smelling on the way? More gas. More gas. This time this car was different. And of course I still sat in the back, but he had it like, it was like a cab partition, and he slid the window and had the gas coming like that. They're so tricky. So anyway, he wouldn't even take me all the way back as it was starting to get dark. So what he does is he takes me to the store, drops me off. So now I got to walk back, and it's still a kind of ways walk, because from Spartanburg to Union is about 16 miles. But when you're walking, you know what I'm saying? But I said, I'm gonna walk, and it's getting dark, and I know. So then watch this. This truck pulls up. This guy in a white truck, a white guy, and with the most sinister grin, he says, "Can I give you a ride?" And I was like, no, thank you. So I kept on walking, and I made it back to Spartanburg and went where I left my phone, and it was still there. Every night, more and more things would happen. So one night, which I was really hurt by, I was in there, and all of a sudden, like, whoever was on the roof, and I know that they were on the roof, trust me, and they poured some ants down there. You know what I'm saying? And that kind of hurt me a little bit, like through all I've been through. But I was like, damn, but only 3 ants bit me, because that was God. Because these were evil acts that these people were doing. You know what I'm saying? To fast forward, like, you know, I was telling you about that man with the mustache, because I had saw him when he first came from Florida. He made it a point to talk to me, because everybody knew who I was in that town. They knew. And so then, that night he was in it, he came in there to get a hot dog when I was at Hotspot. I was afraid. So after that girl says this about Guy Brewer, so now I was talking to the manager, because I was just trying to be cool with them so I could stay in the store for safety. You know what I'm saying? And I asked him, like, I was like, what do you do? Like, so he was like, how he writes songs that influences the public. And then the girl was how she works in hospitals and nursing homes. You know what that girl is? She's a death dealer. You know what I'm saying? Because you notice how, like, when they said about the COVID, how they said that, it only affects the elderly. Yeah, because the elderly get in the hospital and they put their lights out. You understand what I'm saying? Because they feel like, oh, they've lived enough. But who are they to say when it's time for somebody to live and when it's time for somebody to die, and who gets to live? And only God can say that. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, like in the store in Hotspot, I'm sorry, I'm all over the place. I mean, this is kind of tough for me, you know. He was like, he could tell I was scared, you know, so he fed off of it, and he said, oh, because I said to him, I said, well, where you going, this and that? So he was like, oh, I don't know. He said, it all depends on if you're still standing there while I finish my last bite of my hot dog. And it was the way how he said it. So I was like, what do you mean? So finally I said, you know, and it was a little bit out of fear, but it was a little bit out of more of, you know, so I said, Joe, I'm gonna leave. I said, but I don't even know. I have any money to leave here. So he told me about this woman. I'm gonna say her name, Olivia, another homeless coalition person who, he was like, yeah, she's buying tickets. She was at the center, because everybody would go to the center. So then I go to the center the next morning, and you know, she gets the ticket for me, but like she kind of puts me through it a little bit. But she knows it was already arranged. Do you understand what I'm saying? For every reason, they wanted me out of this town. And I went over a lot of things, and I said, well, maybe it's because I was homeless and they cleaned up the homeless. But that's not how you clean the homeless up. You do that with local police. You understand what I'm saying? This thing was deeper than that. So, and I know it had something to do with me. They wanted to get me off the street, but then once I saw what I saw, you understand what I'm saying? Because even now that I'm back in New York, people have still been following me. Every time I go to the store, anything. And it's like, I don't know why. I don't know what these people want, you know, but I do know this. I do know that people are gonna pay for the things that they put me through. And especially that with my son and what they said to him, but more importantly, stabbing that poor boy whose blood is on my hands. You know what I'm saying? For whatever reason. So, I mean, and this is so weird. So I'm saying this because maybe you guys can comment on this and make sense of it. My brother helped me make a lot of sense of a lot of things. He did, and I appreciate him for that.
No doubt.
You know, but like, so now she buys the ticket, but so she doesn't, so like, it doesn't leave for 2 days. So I gotta have 2 more nights out there. You understand what I'm saying? So this is what happens. And, you know, only God told me this. And I know this is going to sound weird. I was out there and I was just afraid as it was getting dark. And this was the government that arranged this. A stranger pulls up on me. A stranger. And says, get in. Now, think about all I've been through in this town. And I get in. I say, you know, because I'm already so wound up. I'm like, okay. You know what I mean? So I get in and he takes me to this house where there are more strangers. A girl and her boyfriend and another girl and her boyfriend. And, you know, they're both white. Their boyfriends are black. And I stayed there the night. You know, they bought KFC and I ate. And then in the morning, he came and got me. I don't know what that was about. I don't know why that happened. It was just weird, but it happened. So then, boom, he brings me back to downtown that day. You know, I chilled all day. And then my bus left that night. So now I come to the bus station, getting ready. My bus left at 8:30, I remember.
That was God working.
So, I'm sitting there and I'm like, so this dude whose name is Jason, this white dude who I had seen too, like around, he was supposed to be a homeless dude. And he had this girl who I didn't know her name. She was supposed to be kind of crazy or whatever. And I remember one night she came up on me and I don't know why she was telling me these things. Like, I guess she was telling me like, I don't know why I guess she felt like I could save her. You know what I mean? Because she was like, yo, this dude has been raping me and like, you know, he gets on top of me and I don't like it. So I said, well, why are you with him? You know, I'm like, why are you with him? You know, but she was scared. And she told me her story, how she was from Greenville and how she don't remember what happened. She just woke up in Spartanburg and she was at that mission. That mission, Miracle Hill, has a lot to do with whatever. Another thing, what I'm gonna say too, like I left out, you know, homeless people, they all have hustles. A lot of them would do panhandling. I wouldn't do that. I guess I was too proud to do that, you know? But towards the end, the last 2 weeks I did, and what I did was I flew a sign, and you should have seen all the money I got. But it was because the government would come and do it. They sent them to do it because I guess they were afraid just to keep me calm, but more importantly, it was to keep me getting high. It was. And I'm not blaming the government for that. I'm saying because you think about a panhandler, somebody who's the first, I was holding that sign one time, this man came and gave me $50. I had just got out there. Gave me $50. If I would have, because they were afraid. This other couple came. This was a white woman and a white man came, and she gave me $10. So then they came around and came again and said, I told him we should have gave you more, and gave me another $10. You know what I'm saying? They was afraid of whatever. I guess they were afraid because black people were rising up. And I'm gonna say this again: white people, stop killing black people. You know, and you won't have to worry about nothing. You can't be bullying people all the time and like not expect to get punched back, because people get tired of getting bullied. And you know, the people are the majority. You understand what I'm saying? And you need to think about that, because people are waking up more and more and more and more with this internet and everything, and people are tired of getting their asses skinned. And you know, you think about America and like we have settled for getting our asses skinned, but now it's like you want to kill us? Like, come on. With the COVID, we can't even go out, we can't even do this, we can't do that, we gotta wear a mask everywhere. I can't even see a pretty girl anymore.
Yo,
Y'all already on our phones, looking at us, keeping track of us. Y'all on our TVs, probably watching us through the TVs
Everything.
and all that. I'm like, now y'all want to be inside our body? Like y'all
Be inside our
no,
heads.
this is me. This is mine. Like y'all want to be in my mind? Like, nah, that's something y'all are not gonna even grasp or capture. I'm telling you, God is here, and y'all gonna get it. Yo, we ain't doing that vaccine thing.
And that's it. Because what it is it's really the mark of the beast.
That's what it is.
And that's what it is. You know,
Bill Cooper talked about it. He talked about it. He said they was going to do this. Hit us with the vaccine. And then the elite, that's the real vaccine. They going to get we getting that disease. Wipe us out. Crazy. I'm sorry. Continue.
It's all right. It's the truth, though. And I know it's hard to believe. And you be like, well, what can we do? What can we do? We have the power. We are the people. You know? I mean, at some point in your life, you got to take a stand.
Like, don't even be scared. Like, this thing that they, putting in the air or whatever, how are they doing it? I know they ain't putting it in the air because I never put on a mask when I go outside.
Me neither.
You know what I'm saying? Never. Only when I got to go in the store or nothing. I'm breathing in that good-ass prana like my man Ralph Smart said. I'm breathing in that good-ass prana. But anyway, they just trying to scare us. It's what's in that damn vaccine
Exactly.
that's going to kill us.
Dolly Parton and everybody on
Yeah,
TV.
yeah, right. They up there taking it. That's water in there.
That's all that it
or,
is.
a matter of fact, it's a fake ass needle. That needle retracts in, just like them fake knives when in the movies. That's what it is.
People do whatever you want to do.
Yo, don't take that vaccine.
And it's not a black and white thing. See, they're causing all kinds of things.
Yeah, that's what they're trying to.
You better keep that in mind. It's not a black and white thing. If you're truly, legitimately a racist, then I can't tell you how to think. You be whatever. But just remember, before you're a racist, before you are anything, you are a citizen of this world. And look what they're doing to it. Look what they've done to it.
Taking our rights away
Everything,
slowly but surely. Yo, you know what's so crazy? This is what I want to ask y'all. Y'all must don't know how small a virus is. Like, the mask that you're wearing is not working. Viruses is going straight through that. Like, it just be bugging me out. I'll be like, y'all people cannot be that stupid, and I don't want to insult nobody. Y'all can't be that stupid. We go in the supermarket, and we see they have these plastic things hanging in front of the, in front of the cash register. What y'all think? Like, y'all think viruses is gonna go in front of that shit? Like, let's stop right here. Like, them shits ain't gonna go around that plastic. Like, I don't know, man.
It's be afraid.
It's crazy.
You're afraid of your own families. I go to see my grandmother, and she got the mask on in the house. Damn.
Yeah.
Can't go nowhere. My grandmother used to go bowling and do everything. She hasn't even left the house. A prisoner in her own home. But I just had to tell that story, about... And that's what's made me really see, about... Because, when I was born, I never thought as a kid that I would have to go through something like that. Or, more importantly, that my son would have to go through something like that. And I've been a taxpayer and all that shit. Fuck that shit. And that's nobody but yours truly, Uncle Sam. He don't care. You military people who are watching us or whatever, you better think. Think about all the missions you've been on. And, if you would have got captured one time, they wouldn't even come get you. Or even they'll tell your family a lie. We don't know who that is. Because that's how they move. You know what I'm saying?
Y'all know this.
These people don't care about you.
Every time y'all trying to get that vet check when y'all retire. They don't even want to give y'all that vet check. Y'all be having a fucking fight like hell just for a vet check.
After you done put foot to ass for what? Some oil? Shit, please. At least give me my check. That's why I don't blame some of y'all for being mercenaries, but you be mercenaries, but I'm going to say this. You're killing the wrong people. You understand? Because we all know who needs to be killed. That's all I got to say. Oh, I started getting a little something at the end. That's why I was like, I had to step away. But we stopped it. Let's see. We're gonna upload it. Everybody gonna watch it. Yeah, man. Get out of here.